My mother-in-law drew her battle line in the middle of my own living room. "These are for family, sweetie," she said, handing out iPhone 16 Pro Maxes, like candy one for each grandchild, but skipping the only one who wasn't blood. My 8-year-old daughter looked down at her empty hands. "Why isn't there one for me, Grandma?" she asked, her small voice slicing through the murmurs of 20 guests. "Because you're not really family, treasure. These are only for my blood grandchildren." The room fell silent. The laughter stopped, replaced by the sound of my little girl's shoes as she ran upstairs, sobbing. I stood there frozen, surrounded by my wife's relatives, in the house I had bought, watching them all pretend not to see what had just happened. When I finally confronted my mother-in-law, she just shrugged. "It's my money. I'll give it to whomever I please." That was the moment something in me snapped. The next day, my wife returned from a work trip. I told her everything, expecting outrage, or at least empathy. Instead, she sighed. "Mom's just old. I'm sure she didn't mean any harm. You're overreacting again." That night, while she unpacked, I stood by the window and made a choice. "You have 24 hours, I told her quietly. "Either your mother leaves this house or you leave with her." She barricaded herself in the guest suite like a queen in a fortress. When I went down to give the 24-hour reminder, she smiled that awful smile and said, "I'm not going anywhere. I have tenant rights. If you try to remove me, I'll call the police for domestic violence." My wife doubled down sudden protectiveness, excuses the old family reflex. I realized I was the outsider in my own home. Legal eviction would take months, my lawyer told me. His advice was surgical. Document everything. In hostile eviction cases, the paper trail wins. So I made one, a password-protected digital file I called War Diary. Date, time, detailed description. Every insult, every slammed door, every time my daughter came downstairs crying because Grandma wouldn't talk to her. Every incident my wife waved off became a line in that file. Then the money trail surfaced. My wife had given her mother a debit card. The charges were obscene luxury coffee machines, overpriced skincare, premium supplements paid with our account. "Medical expenses," my wife muttered when I showed the statements, never looking me in the eye. I saved the screenshots. The escalation became official when Child Protective Services knocked on the door with an anonymous complaint. "Unstable environment. Minor at risk." I walked the social worker through the diary and the bank statements. Her expression changed, suddenly professional, suddenly sharp. The complainant had intimate details only someone living here could know. That was a red flag. I installed security cameras in the common areas under the guise of transparency. My wife couldn't object. She'd invited her mom to live here, after all. On the first afternoon of footage review, I watched a clip that made my stomach drop. My mother-in-law in the kitchen telling my wife, "Once he runs out of money for lawyers, he'll give up. This house should be yours by right." My wife said nothing. 2 days later, video caught deliberate property damage. A heavy suitcase dragged across the hardwood, while my mother-in-law looked straight at the camera, smiling. When I asked my wife about the gouges, she gave me the old line. "She's arthritic. She's clumsy." I saved the file, then the theft. Hallway camera recorded her rifling my locked desk and slipping my late father's silver cufflinks into her purse. I confronted my wife. She refused to believe it. I replayed the clip until she could no longer deny what she'd seen. The breaking point came when my daughter arrived soaking by the pool clothes plastered, teeth chattering, saying in a voice that sounded twice her age, "Grandma pushed me because I told her I didn't love her anymore." My mother-in-law shrugged. "Kids lie," she said. That night I staged a truce dinner. Candles, takeout, the whole false calm. After my wife relaxed, I played the video's doorway conversations, the suitcase scrape, the cufflink theft, the recorded phone call where my mother-in-law admitted to calling social services. My wife watched in silence as the pieces fell into place. The denial cracked. The armor dropped Dot when my mother-in-law returned from her walk. She found my wife standing in the doorway, calm and steady. "Pack your things," she said. "You have 2 hours." The old woman launched into the same manipulative sob routine she'd used for decades. This time it didn't work. Her sister arrived to collect her. Even she recoiled at the footage. The mother-in-law raged. "You'll regret this. You're nothing without me." My wife's answer was a quiet steel. Not anymore. By morning the battle had gone public. My mother-in-law posted a tearful lie on Facebook, painting herself as the abused elder. My wife posted the videos to the inner family chat and sent a single message: "Watch the facts. We made this choice to protect our child." The tide turned. Apologies trickled in. The post was deleted. We sold the toxic jewelry my mother had used as emotional leverage. With the money, we booked Orlando the promise I'd made my daughter months ago. The house slowly shifted from battlefield back to home, but the war's final move still waited. My sister-in-law called 2 weeks later, voice shaking. "They've put Mom in a nursing home." She couldn't keep it up. No gloating, only an exhausted, hollow relief. We agreed to split the cost. That night, my wife tore up 3 unopened letters from her mother and sat on the couch with our daughter, planning the trip. When our little girl fell asleep, my wife took my hand and said, "My family is you and her. No one else." I realized then the victory was bigger than eviction. It was the return of my wife to herself. The morning after her mother was gone, the house was so quiet it felt like another planet. No passive-aggressive sighs. No footsteps creeping to the kitchen at 2 a.m., no perfume cloud lingering in the hallway. Just silence and my daughter humming softly over her cereal. My wife looked like she'd aged 5 years overnight, but in a strange way she seemed lighter too. We didn't talk much that first day. We didn't need to. The cameras were still running, but now the only thing they caught was peace. Then, at 7 a.m., her phone began to explode. Texts, Facebook notifications, voicemails, waves of digital poison. "How could you throw your own mother out? Your mom's heartbroken. He's controlling you. We're praying for you, dear." My mother-in-law's final weapon had been launched. A long, tear-streaked post about how her cruel son-in-law had brainwashed her innocent daughter and left a poor, sick woman homeless. She'd written it like a tragic novel, complete with blurry selfies and Bible verses. For a split second, I saw my wife's old fear flicker again. Then it vanished. "The time for silence is over," she said. She didn't argue online. She didn't post paragraphs. She opened WhatsApp, created a small family group, and sent one message: "Before you judge, please watch this." 3 video files. 1 audio recording. No commentary. Then she went back to her mother's Facebook post and left a single public comment: "Mom, it breaks my heart that you've made this public. The decision we took was the hardest of my life, and it was to protect my daughter." I'm not going to argue here. Our close family already knows the truth. Checkmate. By evening, the comments under her mother's post had turned. Wait, if that's true? I saw the video. How could she? Poor little girl. Within hours, the post vanished. The perfect victim had been unmasked. That night, my wife opened the velvet jewelry box her mother had once given her: rings, bracelets, pearls, each a chain disguised as a gift. "They were never presents," she said quietly. "They were contracts." The next morning, we pawned every piece. With the cash, we booked our first family trip to Orlando. When we told our daughter, she screamed so loud the dog barked. "Grandma said amusement parks are stupid," she said, half disbelieving. Grandma was wrong, my wife told her. Your dreams matter more than her rules. That night, as our daughter fell asleep hugging her new phone, my wife whispered she used to steal our joy one small piece at a time. I think it's time we start taking it back. And for the first time in years, the air inside that house felt clean. Months passed, and the echo of war faded into memory. The old guest suite, her mother's fortress, became something new, our family movie room. Where shouting and manipulation once echoed, there was now laughter, popcorn, and the rhythmic sound of our daughter's giggles. Then, one quiet evening, my wife's phone rang. She stepped away to take the call, and when she came back, her face was unreadable, part sorrow, part release. "It was my sister," she said softly. She couldn't take it anymore. The lies, the guilt trips, the emotional blackmail had started all over again. "They've had Mom committed to a nursing home." We sat there for a long time without speaking. There was no triumph in the news, only inevitability. "She built that road herself," I said finally. "All we did was stop following it." My wife nodded. "My sister and I will split the costs. It's what's right." That night she tore up the last 3 unopened letters her mother had sent, one by one, and tossed them into the fire. We watched the paper curl and blacken until there was nothing left but ash. Our daughter, freer, louder, happier, had started to fill the space that resentment once owned. She danced through the halls barefoot, humming songs she made up on the spot. Her laughter was proof that peace had finally moved in. One night, while we were planning our Orlando trip, my wife took my hands and said something that hit harder than any declaration of love. "My family is you and her," she whispered. "No one else. Forgive me for taking so long to see it." When we finally stood beneath the Florida sun, our daughter screaming with joy as she met her favorite characters, I realized something profound. Revenge hadn't healed us. Freedom had. The past wasn't gone, but it had lost its power. Our home was ours again, our family finally defined not by blood, but by choice. And as the fireworks lit up the night sky, my wife looked at me and smiled. "She can't steal our joy anymore," she said. She was right. We had taken it back, every last spark of it.